Imagínese dejar tu país lleno con tu familia, amigos y recuerdos, para echarse de mejor futuro para usted y tus hijos. Esta es la realidad de 11 millones de inmigrantes indocumentos. Did you get all that? You probably didn't. Now imagine moving to a country that you don't know the language of. Misconceptions surround undocumented immigrants and why they come to the U.S. Their struggles are often overlooked, and they do not get the dream life they imagined. When I think of undocumented immigrants, I think of my mom and my brother, their hard work to become a U.S. citizen and a permanent resident. To better understand undocumented immigrants, we are going to, primero, understand who they are and why they would like to come here. Segundo, the problems they face with the U.S. immigration system. Y último, how it is to live in the U.S. undocumented. Undocumented immigrants come from all over the world, but according to the Migration Policy Institute, 78% come from Latin America. According to World Vision, main factors include food insecurity, political insecurity, violence, and lack of economic opportunity. And with current events happening, such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the rise of hurricanes, this is only making it worse. Now, why don't they just come legally? My grandparents did 100 years ago is one of the most common phrases associated with this topic. Well, if we still had the open immigration system that we had back when Ellis Island was open, things would be much different. According to immigrant historian David Reimers, the main problem that European immigrants faced with coming here was getting here. And the main thing that they were looking at Ellis Island was if they had a disease or not. So let's say you got here, prove you're disease-free. Congratulations, you became a U.S. citizen within 4 hours. Now, there have been cases that have taken up to 20 years. There are 3 different ways to live in the U.S. legally. Visas, which are temporary, permanent resident, or having a green card, which mean you can live here as long as you want, but there are some restrictions, and U.S. citizenship. For visas, let's look at the H-1B visa. This is a visa you would get for your job. The main problem with this, though, is that to get this visa, you have to be sponsored by your employer. So you living in the U.S. is completely dependent on your employer, and many employers have used this to their advantage. There's also the green card lottery, but for this, there's a very short supply for countries that have a high demand for it. There's also trying to become a U.S. citizen by sponsorship of a relative such as a sibling, parent, or spouse that's a U.S. citizen. But for this, there's a very, very long line for, and often isn't an option for people who want to start a new life for their family in the U.S. Let's also keep in mind that coming to the U.S. undocumented doesn't just mean crossing the border. It can also mean just overstaying a visa. Coming to the U.S. is difficult, but that doesn't mean living here is easy. Undocumented immigrants have to deal with the constant worry and panic of being found or deported at any moment. They also don't get simple things that we don't think about, such as becoming a homeowner or getting any type of federally funding, such as scholarships or financial aid for public colleges. And as we all know, college is expensive. Now, there are some bright sides. Although many undocumented immigrants most likely won't become legal while they're here, their children will be if they're born here. Many undocumented immigrants said they do not regret coming here, they just wish they knew how it actually was. They love to see their kids grow up in a different country that's much safer and have a better economic opportunity. Thank you.